Okay, how do I use this thing? Oh, sweet. Hi, everybody. My name is Inessa, and I'm a designer. Most of the time I design lighting, and most of the time I design things within a company called Arup. And today I would like to just share with you a little piece of work we've done recently for Chelsea and Westminster Hospital together with Arup Operations Consulting and CW+. So what's CW+? Chelsea and Westminster Hospital is a hospital in West London. It's really well built. It looks like a mall, but also it has its own charity. And the charity is trying to do their best to create better healing environments for their patients, mostly using art, performances. The entire hospital is just filled with various sculptures and paintings. There are dancers around. They have their own cinema. And in addition to that, they trying to find out how to create a healing environment through design. So that's where we come in. Maybe a couple of years ago, Arup was commissioned to create a set of healing design principles, which ultimately became this three-step process of removing the negative, making sure the design is good, and adding the further improvements. And that included maybe 15 disciplines or so. And lighting was one of them, where we said, okay, we're going to eliminate the stressors, we're going to have like no glare, no flicker, you have to make sure it's pleasant ambience, and maybe you have some biophilia, maybe you have some play of light and shadow, some artwork, and that would be all and well. And I think the way you want to do that in most cases would be to give this to CW+, to the charity, to use as their tool to give to the next designers. But when they came back to us about a year later and asked us to actually do some work on lighting, we thought that maybe that's not enough for us. It would be much more interesting to get away from the desk-based design and to go in and try to just get actually the feel. So we were given a few spaces, mostly within the older patients' wards and maternity wards with a few special rooms. We wanted to understand who are the people are in every single one of the spaces, what they're doing, what they're feeling, who are they interacting with, what's going on throughout the time. Is it busy? Is it not busy? For that, we conducted a little bit of interviewing. We've done 2 observations during the night and during the day. We then concluded that with a client workshop, and now we're using this set of know-how, knowledge, I guess, to collaborate with the architects and artists and other designers and engineers. So working with the operations consulting, which is a colleague of ours who has a background in environmental psychology, we developed 3 interview templates, one for staff, one for patients, one for visitors. We created a big sort of scoring card. We created a number of questions, and from that, we tried to figure out what would be differences in their values, what they need, what they want. Doesn't work like that. When we actually came in, we realized everybody is extremely busy, nobody has time to talk to us, everybody's really stressed. So it was all running around, being like, hey, do you have 2 minutes? Luckily, it was our colleague who is an environmental psychologist who was doing that, and she was brilliant at it. So we found out that older patients need a lot more care, they need a lot more light, that maternity patients get really uneasy, really tense, there's too much noise, there's too much light for them. The clinical staff, they need stimulation, they have no clue what's going on, they need more visibility. They don't understand what time it is after 12-hour shifts, whereas maternity patients maybe don't understand what time it is because they need to sleep a lot. Older patients don't understand, and all of that is going against the needs of other people, and that was quite something. So to understand that better, what I also found it very interesting is when we were creating the questionnaire, instead of, if I were to do that, I would say, what do you think about lighting here? Is that all right? Yeah, all right, I don't know. Color temperature, do you like 3,000 kelvins? 4, 5, 6? And what we developed instead, which was really good, is there anything which you want from lighting but other people wouldn't want? What will your dream lighting look like here? Is there anything stopping you from sleeping at nights? How do you feel in this space? And that gave the answers which were much more insightful than just generally asking about the lighting. How would you describe the ambience of this hospital? Is it tired? Is it really okay? Is it good? Is it bad? Why is that? And then we went and spent a lot of time, hours and hours and hours, actually in the hospital, looking around, seeing what it looks like, why people feel so disoriented. Why is there so many men in a maternity ward? Kind of makes sense, but I've never been to a maternity ward before, and it turns out so many men. Why people can't find where they are. So there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of light, there's a lot of people walking around doing things, there's a lot of really tired-looking people with tiny humans. I guess that was maternity ward. And just walking around, noticing other things. Say, there's a lot of equipment. Is that equipment in the drawings? No, it's not in the drawings, but it's there, and it's not going to go anywhere away. Is that something we could be using in our future design? Yes. Is that something I could have figured out from a lighting standard? No. There is no focus on key navigation tasks. There's wayfinding, there's toilets, there's bathrooms that look exactly like the staff rooms, there's staff rooms which we could not find, only staff nowhere. Again, there's a lot of really beautiful clues we picked up from seeing what people do. So labor ward, you don't stay there for long. People stay there between 24 and 72 hours, yet they need to have blinds. They put this improvised, some sort of like just blankets to block out the light, which means they have so much light and something needs to be done. So going forward slightly, we already reviewed all the architectural drawings and they said, you have not allowed for blinds, put blinds. Here's why. We looked at the strange policies they have in there. Why do they have this policy to turn off the light from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.? And where so many people, why that is? Nobody knows. And what happens between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. when the light is off? Everybody is carrying just as normal. People can see everything. There's a lot of borrowed daylight from the wards. There's still lighting in the station, and actually is much better like this. Why is it not like that at all times? Good question. Wouldn't have known if I wouldn't be there. And talking about being darker, why is this the best place in the whole of the maternity? The darkest place, the birth center, which is including the reception. Everything is dimmed down. All of the people we had interviews with kept going back to saying, can we just have the same as birth center? Not ever in my life as a lighting designer, I would have thought that the best place to do a hospital would be just to have it really, really dark. And the same for other places. They have this part of the birth center is the birth rooms with baths. And they have a much better lighting. They have put a lot of thought in there. There's a number of layers. There's color changing. There's wall lights. There's linear lights. And then there's control for it, which nobody can use. Because it's hidden in a cupboard. It's surrounded by these pipes. It's surrounded by clutter. And the touchscreen is not aligning with the buttons, so it doesn't really work. So something like that. Do we spend a lot of time figuring out where the touchscreens are, what the touchscreens are? How is it working? Everything which was done on the left has been basically compromised by this one thing of where you put your control panel. Same with the wayfinding. There's somebody who's done all the wayfinding bits and they're like, okay, so this is going to work, this is not going to work. And then somebody has done layouts for lighting. And what you see there is we would not have been able to navigate ourselves if we didn't have the stuff showing us where to go. And people have to spend their first 24 hours after a stressful period not knowing where they are, what's going on, and with that. Then we went through this really dodgy hospital corridors, to the older patients wards. What we found is much busier, but it also gets a bit darker. It gets dark at night, yet there's still light, which could be disturbing. And because people have vision impairment, and because they can be losing their ability to understand what's around them, they have color-coded toilets which are not that visible during the night. And could lighting help with that? Yes, it could, if only we knew. We also looked at their control systems. The lighting and control system seems to be very similar between the night and on. But why? Maybe because it was only tested during the daytime, maybe not during the nighttime. We looked at the various environmental kind of biophilic interventions, such as the ceiling tiles. But for some reason, the ceiling tile with the sky is literally next to a luminaire. Can you look at it and feel like it's the sky? The idea was there. So then we went through a couple of special rooms. This is the room where people having all the activities. Is that conducive to having all the activities? We don't know. We don't really see how this all happened, but it seems like they bought 5 chairs and thought people going to play cards in there, and then there's a reading group, and then there's something else, and then it comes like this. Was it designed like this? This is a really well-designed room. There's been a lot of thought put for arts, for the colors, for the lighting. Everything's compliant. But this is the room where you're given bad news. Imagine sitting in this little corner chair and somebody's telling you somebody you really love is not gonna fare so well. Could they do something better than that? Yes. Why is it like that? Well, empathy. Same for different types of lighting, but maybe that's just me being a lighting designer. And then we were looking at all the other bits where people tried to do something biophilic, like this, like that, like this. This is an artwork by Brian Eno. It's really good, famous, well-established musician, next to 2 flickering 600 by 600 LED lights. Do we need flickering lights in a hospital? Maybe not. Brian Eno's good, flickering, maybe not so much. Why is that? Don't know, but we were there. Another amazing thing which we found is the accidental arts. All throughout the hospital, people have thank you cards, little artworks they put together, affirmations, which is so important for both staff and patients alike, and makes a lot of difference, but it's not given any accent. It's not elevated in any way with any design language because it's accidental. It's not meant to be there. And based on all of that, we took the interview summary. We gave our recommendations, but what's more important is we took all of the good work of the positive and negative things in lighting, all of the healthy lighting strategy, and with all of that in mind, we can know so much better what is actually important in every single one of these areas, and what we can really do to now and to make it better. And as a guidance, it's been an incredibly invaluable tool, which we've been using just in the initial discussions with the architects. We've been using that for reviewing the designs which are already going on. We've been using that with the clients. We've been using that for some of the possible future work we could be doing. And as a conclusion, I would say that really, in 3 sentences, nothing really beats being there, because what looks good on a drawing, but looks good and ticks all the boxes and compliant to all the ideas of good design, might be really wrong for staff or patient, because I've never been a nurse. I've never been a patient with dementia or in a maternity ward. But I can go there and experience in there, and working with an environmental psychologist taught me so much. For example, that more time can be spent doing the controls. And another thing is having this ability to value things up or down according to how important they are based on experience of people in the place. The designs don't have to be much more expensive, because you can balance things, have important things with more design value, have less important things with less design value. I think that's it. Thank you so much.